Ouch. Owie, my gin sting. Ouchies. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. My timer's all messed up because I was trying to get some stuff done while I was waiting for the countdown and accidentally restarted it, so we're cutting it a little short. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to have a slight schedule change this weekend for the stream. It's entirely possible I'm going to miss a couple days, including the next two, which would normally be one of the game review nights. So we're going to be doing it tonight on Friday in a little more abnormal fashion than what we normally do. So I wanted to make sure, since everybody's always excited about the viewer games, so I want to make sure that we get them in this weekend and then be out for next week. Now, I'll be honest with you, chat. I ate far and away too many pistachios, and I'm feeling not spectacular. So we'll see how this goes. I'm sure I'll be fine. I definitely eat too many pistachios every time I eat them. 100%. It's not good. I have a problem. I have an actual problem. But we're going to jump in, chat. Unrelated to this, you unlock Wooly Bully? Grats. Grats. I have been coming around on Wooly Bully and the Power Down Phobies as a whole. I think there's some potential there for a variety of different things, so I do keep meaning to try them. I think Wooly Bully's probably the best one out of the bunch. Maybe Blondie. I know there was such a thing as too many pistachios. Well, the problem is so, well, my mom visited, and she knows I like pistachios, so she gave me a bag of pistachios, but she gave me these salt and pepper ones. And I mean, lightly salted or salted pistachios is a normal thing, but let me tell you, when you put pepper on pistachios, it changes the taste dramatically, and not really in a positive way. And I like pepper, I like spicy things, but it just doesn't taste very good. However, somebody had asked me, well, why are you eating them then? And I said, well, pistachio, like having bad pistachios is still better than no pistachios. So I ate them anyway. And I don't know, it's not sitting right, we'll say. That's the problem. I also ate, like, I don't actually know how big the bag is, like, by volume, but I ate probably like a third of the bag in one sitting, which cannot possibly be good. It doesn't matter what you're eating. That's probably not a good thing to do, right? I just don't get it. Speaking of food, made me remember I didn't eat a snail in a while. I've never eaten snails. I'm not super excited about a future, which will probably be in my lifetime, where I'm going to eat a bunch of bugs. But realistically speaking, like, has anybody seen the movie Snowpiercer? Because spoiler alert, like, that's one of the early reveals. Also, we gotta change this Fright Night thing before I forget about it. I'm gonna forget to take it off the bot, and people are gonna keep asking me throughout the night and be like, no, Fright Night 7's already over. I meant to do it last time, and this week was, once again, very busy. Snail is really nice to eat. I'll have to take your word for it. I don't really want to eat it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not super enthusiastic about it. I mean, here's the thing. I was actually legitimately thinking about this offline because I was editing the video for, I think it came up during Fright Night when somebody said, hey, let's talk about eating bugs again. I was legitimately thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I probably wouldn't care if it was prepared in such a way that one of the things that was on the news recently is like grasshoppers or something. If you eat them, they're high in protein, right? Or whatever bug they were, like, it was a small common insect that they were talking about. And in the movie Snowpiercer, that's one of the key reveals early on, is that they're feeding people protein paste. And it's like, well, where are they getting this like protein jello paste thing from? Well, they're basically they have cricket farms because they reproduce so quickly that then they just put them in a big grinder, crush them all up, and then give them to people. So the point is that in that event, I mean, they described it as not tasting good, but they were sickened to learn what it was. If it was something like that where, okay, well, it's just jello, like, I don't think I would care that it was coming from bugs, you know what I mean? My friend downloaded the game today and immediately challenged me. I proceeded to kill 2 of his big phobies with Miss Moffat, and now he hates spiders. As they should. As they should. They'll probably learn as the game goes on to fear and respect them. But, bug consumption aside, I'll have to decide later if I want to leave that whole segment in or not. We'll see. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. So our first game of the evening is Strahd. Fittingly, with the Hydra avatar, because this is a clutch Hydra match, per the notes. We'll have to see what happens here. Of course, this is Strahd, one of our semifinalists in the recent Fright Night. If you haven't watched that video, go check that out. Because, yeah, definitely a lot of fun. And we're looking at bringing in Tiny Terrors for the next Fright Night. I need to get a date so that I can get it over to the devs and try and coordinate everything. But I'm shooting for in June, and hopefully we can get this event and showcase the Tiny Terrors format. If you're curious about what that is, hit up the Random's Thoughts Discord. But in the previous Fright Night, not Tiny Terrors, Strahd was utilizing Sarcasm fairly frequently. So it seems to be a common opener from Strahd. Bad guy here elected to go into Undead anyway, because sure, why not? We do get the early block here, which did not work out for Strahd in there, specifically on Biff's room. I guess it's Biff's map also, in the semifinals. But Bad Guy, this must be during the Undead event, right? Like, why is Bad Guy going Gravedigger Contortio into Unbearable otherwise? I don't quite get that. But they banked to 5. We'll have to see what comes out of them from there. Strahd following up with an Unbearable. Made me think, fought Strahd and Async today. Nice. Yeah, we do get a lot of intra-Discord games at this stage. The Random Thoughts Discord, link for that in the description. Of course, there's a lot of people hanging out talking Phobies at this point. And other games, because we are expanding. We are growing. Bad guy is probably fine. Bad guy is fine. Not a large enough unicorn in order to one-shot the Contortio here. That is pretty significant when you're able to do that. But it's very difficult to do that. The reason being is you have to be over-leveled, probably by a significant amount. I'm pretty sure Bachelor is the only one-cost phobia other than, like, Boom, that dies to unicorn traps on level. Which is notable. So we're maxing out here with Ted. I'm telling you, this had to have been during the Undead event. What was the date for this game? This was played on the 12th. That sounds about when the Undead event was going on. Otherwise, like, why are we seeing some of these things? Truth be told, when these events come through, I absolutely accept the extra resources and stuff that comes through. But I personally do not put a lot of effort into trying to complete the event. It's like, if I complete it, great. If I don't, whatever. Okay. But this is fairly significant. This Sarcasm, which is about to eat it, 381 poison. That is a significant chunk. Not enough to actually kill this Unbearable, especially since it's going to leech a little bit here. But is very relevant for getting it into range. Bad guy being very meticulous about removing this obstacle. They did clear out a path, clearly, with the Gravedigger last turn or the turn before, but this does give them the opportunity to widen the path a little bit. Chuck coming in. 4 keys left, so I'm guessing the final phobie is the Fabled Hydra. What has Bad Guy got on deck for 8 phobies? You can still make a significant push with just the 8. Well, you're maxed out on phobies right now, but that won't be the case much longer. Because you already have the Pterodactyl on the board, still pretty significant. I like the monster event more than Undead, way more monsters than any other, so it easy to do the event. I'm already at, is that 10,000? The zeros kind of run together without caring about the event, not playing a lot. That's fair. I don't, like I said, I personally don't put a lot of effort into it. I should. I'm not saying people shouldn't, but I just want to play Phobies. It's nice to get the extra rewards without having to put in the extra effort, but... Alright, Gravedigger opening it up for... no Chuck advance. Okay. Well, I mean, these were probably needed to eliminate this. I was looking at chat a little bit. So we're getting a Smiley. Within the context of the Undead event, assuming that's what this was, definitely very strong for presumably obvious reasons. And get a little Hydra action. So the Hydra, clearly a strong counter for the Smiley. There are multiple range Phobies, though. Or a couple of range Phobies, Pterodactyl and Unbearable here, so... there's some risk. It's not completely without risk. And down goes the Unicorn. Using Unbearable and Chuck in the same team is like using a Chuck and a nerfed Chuck. I guess. I mean, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Allowing the Chuck to get diseased seems bold, but at a certain level, it's not. Similar to Mildred, you can leech a lot of life. Strahd here is looking at a level 11 Chuck, so it's not going to 100% keep itself alive, but it can do a pretty good job at keeping itself alive. Now, the advance is kind of bold. Oh, never mind. That Pterodactyl just dies. Alright, yeah. I guess bad guy just didn't anticipate the Chuck diving? Still 3 keys remaining, though. Maybe they feel it doesn't matter. That they can... You take this trade, offer up something expensive as a bait, and then just follow everything up. So, like, even Ted here... meets the woman of his dreams, of his undeath. Doesn't move in with the Ted, notably. Presumably to avoid the hits from the Hydra, / be in position to retake. And this doesn't look great for our hero. Being incapable of killing that Unbearable means that, of course, they get a full complement of counterattacks. Like, this Unbearable has to be dead, right? There's just no way it's not. And this is kind of scary because A, you're down to 2 Phobies. B, they're 1-mover Phobies. Yes, one of them is Chuck, so it has a long reach, but at the same time, I don't know. Down goes Unbearable. Panic point advantage is in favor of our hero, so then all of a sudden chopping the team down to size real quick and womp womp. There's suddenly... Oh, no. I mean, to be fair, this Chuck will die very soon. 653 health. So this Chuck is not long for this world. You kind of have to kill these 2 this turn. It's just that simple, chat. 10 more turns in this game. I imagine the Jill is just running for its life. Unless Strahd is playing with his food. That being said, you actually can't necessarily kill the Jill. It might be difficult to kill the Jill just because you can't walk on it. You gotta vote for variety. I mean, we know what your vote is, Luffy. There's only one option. I was gonna put a couple things up, but we'll talk about that after the game. Although, admittedly, there's not much left. I didn't actually buy that yet. I didn't buy that game yet. Yeah, so we can kind of see where the writing is on this particular wall, right? Bad guy did make an effort, reclaim the point, but I mean, that's a Hydra all up on your heart. You're not racing that. Just not racing that. Well done, Strahd. The surprise Hydra in the undead matchup takes it down. Chomp goes the Hydra, GG. GG. So we were rambling a lot. In between games, but here we have our second game, OJlicious, coming back with another Karth game, this time on a different map, Royal Rumble, big map. All right, let's see. So last week we had an OJlicious game against Karth. Again, shout out to Karth. Karth, a common bad guy here. Look, that's just the moniker you get when you have that many levels. And how many levels are we talking about? Well, this is a level 16 werewolf. Well, this is actually only a 4-level difference in this game. So this isn't as bad, but 4 levels is still 4 levels. That's still a lot. We're not talking an insignificant amount. So we'll see what happens here, how this game plays out. Got to switch scenes there. So if people, hopefully everybody explained, got everything from the explanation. Big chomp, best chomp? I hope so. I hope so. The problem is when I have to have 3 things on screen, so it's OBS, so I can see what's going on, the game, so I can, see the game, and then I have to pull up the spreadsheet, and I don't have a good system on my monitors to do this yet. It's been some time, so if I put some brain cells into it, maybe, but here we go. Awoo! I was going to say a little good boy action, but it's a big good boy action. Big old werewolf, which for anybody who's curious, enormous. Enormous. Noxious following up. Okay, Noxious on this map is weird, because obviously you have a spa, but at the same time, if your opponent has to dick around rotating all their guys onto the spa, you can generate a pretty large tempo advantage. And if that happens, great. The other option is if you have a Gonzo or a Scritch. I mean, we're seeing Gonzo from the other side, but if you have a Gonzo or a Scritch and then just go, I'm going to power them up and then just obliterate your team. The other team, that is. Can absolutely happen. Actually suck at shmups, so shoot 'em ups. Bullet hell type games. I don't know if there's really a distinction between those. Is there? The hardest game for me is probably one of those. That's fair. I mean, everybody's going to have a hardest genre. For anybody watching this on YouTube, that's one of the things we were talking about, hardest games and judging difficulty in games, that sort of thing. Little hematic Jin Sting action. This is interesting. I don't think Karth can get a kill here. These 3 are pretty tanky. So offering them up to be yoinked by the spider is probably safe. Certified classic. I missed that earlier, Luffy. Ooh, we get a juiced up more bees. Is this this can't possibly be dead. Is it really? Oh, really? Okay, going after the werewolf. That's bold. Now, given the damage that went down here, the retaliate, like, you could yoink either one of these, possibly kill it, but even with the level advantage, and we're looking at, what is this, 13, 13? Okay, well, these are level 21. That's a little different. So that's 16 plus 8, 24? I don't think you can get this. Maybe. Maybe I'm underestimating the damage. But you, as Karth, you may be able to yoink something here, kill it. But even if you do, the retaliation is not going to be pretty. That being said, we do get the juice here from the enemy Gonzo. And now... Is that enough? It should be. Yep. So Hematic trades out and we get a Scritch. This is a lot of steroids hanging out on Karth's side. Level 20, 471 on the power-up. It's big and scary, but this is probably a dead spider. Squash the spider. Chat, my wife and I were watching TV the other night, and I noticed a spider on the ceiling. I got a ceiling fan flying, spinning. I don't know why I said flying. And I see a spider on the ceiling, and I said, hey, when did Sal move in? My wife just looks at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's Sal. He's on the ceiling. She's like, what? She sees a spider. And I'm like, yep. I named him Sal. Don't ask me why. But he's Sal the spider. And he lives here now. If you're curious why that anecdote came out, chap, I have no idea. I don't know. I just felt like sharing. So I'm not going to lie. It looks awful for our hero here. I also am not going to lie. I don't understand why my microphone, when I first start speaking, just like explodes. I don't understand. I don't feel like I'm yelling when I first begin speaking, but apparently I am. OJlicious here is in trouble. I absolutely feel as though, despite the panic point advantage that is in favor of our hero, that Karth can probably bully from here. Cooldowns are down, but Gonzo will be back soon. Bullet Hell is a subset of shmups. More bullety as the name implies. Some shmups are on the easier side, like Insector X or the 1940X series. I remember playing the 1940X series on NES. I mean, I've obviously played Bullet Hells and stuff since then. Are we getting the stipe? What do we got here? I mean, you can get a lot of things connecting, but the counterattacks just feel like they should... I don't know. I think maybe our hero has just whittled bad guy down enough. They're still very healthy. Cassowary dies for freezies. I guess you don't have enough in position to threaten the spider? I'm not sure, Roxwan. I'm not sure. Follow-up Hevo 2.0. The classic on oh so many maps. I assume this is a dead Quagmire, which draws a concession, because we're on the last turn. That boop actually was really cool. That was a great boop to set this up. To get the takedown there. So bad guy still has 5 phobies to what? 6, one of which is a cowbell, which is going to die for free here. Not for free, but it's going to go down. Bad guy's at half health. I don't know that this is unwinnable for Karth, to be honest. Like, you kill this for free. This is 1700 health. You have the Gonzo live. So this is 667, so that's 11, a little over 12. 60, like, this might be a dead Jin Sting. With Gonzo and these. You clearly kill this. Your opponent then counter kills the Cassowary. But this Hevo is really beat up. Scritch is live too, so if you can position well enough, you might be able to just Scritch or Gonzo something and then blow up the Hevo. I don't feel like this is unwinnable for Karth. I don't know, am I insane, chat? Maybe I'm overestimating the level advantage, but this feels as though it's a pretty significant... Like, this is over a 3,000 health Hevo. Even to kill the Cassowary, that means something has to stay in range. either Hevo or Spider, or both, or Hevo 2.0, meaning that you can set up some follow-up. I don't know. I don't think this game is lost. But our hero did take it down, so grats, OJlicious. I think you did play it appropriately, like getting the kills where you could. And of course, it's always a challenge to play uphill into the level, so GG. Game number 3 for breakdowns is Just Random. Zoning in with my fight against the annoying combo of Dial and Resurrect Phobies. Turn 1 Dial at a bad guy. Not something, and I'll have to check and see if Dial has been a thumbnail or not thus far. I don't think I have. Ooh, the Moly Bully opener. I like this. I like it. Moly Bully and Droney to safely take a 2-0 panic point lead. Good job, hero. Good job. Wait, what? What? Dial into Cerberus? Chat, the new meta is evolving. The new meta is evolving. Three to 0 panic point advantage from our hero. The Droney presumably is not long for this world. I think I would have repositioned the Moly Bully if I was our hero. I guess the assumption here is they're going to send Snowball down to this panic point or something. What level are we looking at? Actually, it is pretty unlikely that our opponent, or our hero for that matter, has Snowball. I mean, this is a level 2 Dial. This is a level 2 Dial. We're keeping the pressure on, which I appreciate. I do like that, and given... I like to call out Stairmasters when they show up, since everybody seems to crap on Stairmaster all the time. I personally feel Stairmaster has more value than people give it credit for. Now, I understand why people don't respect it. I don't quite understand why anything was in range of this Cerberus this turn. Well, that being said... See, the problem here is that bad guy could have walked Cerberus up in front of the Moly Bully, and you might not have been able to do a whole lot. Like, maybe the Stairmaster should have been here, because then you could guarantee, say, a Snowball coming in to be able to snipe this, or help with this. But it doesn't really matter. Is this just a dead Cerberus? Oof, bad guy. Ouchtown population, that dog. Or not? You're telling... That... No! Not like this. This is actually kind of cool. This would be a cool thumbnail. This is a cool looking thumbnail, just because the Cerberus winding up. I use Stairmaster more than Cyclops, and it's a big difference. The damage is huge. Now, the thing is, I was actually thinking about this the other day. What if the Phobie type was flipped? Like, what if Stairmaster was dimensional and Cyclops was monster? Look at the Bully. Yeah. Bully with the face palm. Bully with the face palm action. So this has been hit by Dial. Is there like a name to the, like, what is it? It's Stay Tuned, but Stairmaster's bracing for impact. I have to imagine that our, oh my god, this has 3 health. Our hero had to have a higher level cassowary than this. You got a cassowary and kill this thing instead. And that's what I was trying to get out a few minutes ago, but I have to imagine the stabby is not enough damage, or even a jar on the vault hitting it twice is probably more damage than this. You don't even have cassowary? Then jar probably does it with 2 hits from here without the like, you only needed 3 more damage. But I thought cassowary was part of the starter kit. Obviously not, but Gravedigger being punished for its aggression here. Jar would do it at level 1 even. Yep. Correct. Cassowary can be a starter. Well, like anything can technically be a starter. Like Chuck could be your starter because you get that free pack, but the block here is unfortunately necessary, I guess. Although, why didn't this move? It still would have gotten another... Well, I guess it wouldn't have mattered because then this would have occupied... Actually, it does matter. Because if it moves, you can't kill it with a single Murder Wing hit. And if it goes here, yes, it will die, but then you can counter kill the Murder Wing. Now, it just killed it for free. It was tuned. It was tuned before. Did it take... Does it... Yeah, so it was still tuned at that point. Okay. It was still tuned at that point. I mean, thanks to the early aggression, it was staying tuned. That's a better way to put it. Is this Molly Bully just dead? Oh, no. Not like this. You might be able to kill this pterodactyl, though. You'll get punished on... Okay, now you can't, because... Oh, excuse me. The Stabby's not going to be able to reach. I don't know that 1, 2, 3 was enough to kill the Dactyl. I doubt it, but I guess it's not impossible. Speaking of Stairmaster and Cyclops, I know I called them both out, but... Cowbell action, but no extra keys in order to finish off... Wait. Oh, it was here. Okay. I thought the Murder Wing started here. I was going to say, why not just kill the other Murder Wing, but you can't. Impossible. A second? Stay tuned, huh? On Stabby, it feels a little less impactful, at least from this board position, because you are going to get the value of the dimensional pull. So there is that. Ooh, last keys, Fish Tank. You know, people are calling for Fish Tank buffs. All I can think is, look, some phobies are going to be bad. It's allowed. Bad in the sense that they're not... I consider using this every single game. I find that okay. That's acceptable to me. Stab you with the finishing blow. We're only just over halfway through this game, chat. But down goes Stabby to the poison. Womp wah. With the erratic on the board, ironically, it was a preemptive answer to this Fish Tank. A bad guy now with a 4-0 panic point advantage and pressing it. I don't... Really? That's a bold move, Cotton. I don't know that our hero can kill this Minotaur, which means that the erratic can't connect down here, so you probably have to kill this. You might be able to kill the Minotaur if you sink everything into it. Bad guy has 2 resurrect phobies, so this is kind of scary. Maybe not. I thought this Daisy felt too aggressive. That feels aggressive. What? Why? What? Hold on. Hold, please. Hold, please. I wanted to go back to the beginning of this turn just to make sure that I'm not missing something. So we start with this, right? This is the beginning of this turn. This is the end state for this turn. Now, admittedly, this erratic is beat to hell. But, like, I don't know about that one. The erratic could just be dead right now. So instead of killing this, they could have flown the pterodactyl, like, here and killed the erratic. Yeah, fish tank is bad guy. Surprise, your goldfish is dead. And that erratic is now at half health. It may be dead this turn. In fact, it should be dead, yep. This is a weird game, chat. Third dial activation. That's a third dial activation. Our hero has to take panic points because they are bleeding out. 3,600 health on this heart. Pterodactyl and Dial versus the world. You got a fish tank kill for not finishing off erratic? Yep. Make a mistake and get punished. Bad guy going in. Little meatballage. That's interesting, but I mean, I don't know what else you could do. Obviously, you don't want to lose the body. And given how bad guy... like, this has literally 1 health. What is the point now? You're going to stabilize as our hero. You have more bodies. More ranged bodies. And now you occupy the stem. Are we going to get a 4th dial activation? There's going to be a 4th stay tuned this game, chat. How wild is that? 4 stay tuned activations. I can't believe this Hevo's still alive. Wow. I'll be honest, I feel like bad guy threw pretty hard, not just on that fish tank turn, but across a few different turns. It did showcase how annoying Dial can be, though. I think that Dial was pretty impactful over the course of the game. It effectively generated 2 takedowns, the Gravedigger and something else, and it also preserved their own Phobies. I don't know. I think bad guy kind of threw there, but well played, Random. GG. All right, we get a little Fright Night action outside of the Fright Night video. This was actually from the Swiss rounds, which were not streamed. I only did the semis and the finals. And in this case, Gakuen in the blue trunks is going up against DT in the orange. It was a lot of fun in my first Fright Night. Well, I'm glad you had fun, Gakuen. If anybody else wants to play Fright Night, see what the fun is all about, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. You can find all the details there. That's where you will hear about the events first. Link for that, of course, is in the description, next to the live stream and the like and subscribe buttons. So we're here on Always Watching with a very, very early Blondie. Here goes nothing. Now, DT is starting off with what I typically do on this map. You want to get an early crush more. I don't normally do it literally turn 1, but I try to get an early crush more and get a setup similar to this. So DT is able to do this much quicker than I would. And we get the sucky follow-up. This is a lot of HP baked into just merely 2 Phobies here. And then a very early Jill. There's already some off-the-wall, somewhat abnormal strategies coming out of our blue player here. Right meow. Little oopsie baby action. I like what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is... I'm a little surprised DT retreated here instead of just blocking this off. At least that's what I typically go for, is I'll send Crushmore, generally not Gravedigger, but you could do that too, terraform this, and then you set up, you know, you just wall them out, and then you can lob to your heart's content. And it appears that's exactly what Gakuen is setting up down here. I'm not sure why the retreat here. Does Blondie need LOS? Within line of sight. So that wouldn't, like, you can't even Blondie through the obstacle. I started recently doing some Oopsie Baby action. Hopefully I'll get a good game of it. Oopsie Baby, I think, is underrated. Certainly underutilized. It's not a universally powerful phobia. It is a challenge to try and deal with it, but... or try and utilize it, rather. Oh, this is not... this is going to get messy pretty quick. So, we do get some quick takedowns here, or takedowns in short order from DT in order to eliminate those two phobies, but this Blondie is going to get a very, very juicy scream here. Notably does not get the Crushmore, which is softening it up at this stage, but this means power down of 300. Remember, everything's at level 1 because this is Fright Night. 0, 50, 125, like this is rough. I found out over the past few days you can't yoink phobies with Heartbreaker through walls. Yeah, you need LOS line of sight with Heartbreaker. Down goes Cassowary. So it was Cassowary for... oh, come on, game. Cassowary and Cat for Boom and Sucky. Get a little power down action happening on Yield Blondie here. DT going back for the hard push and a little glob. I actually love this counter. This is actually a really cool counter to try and bully away, push out the one movers. The problem is that this Klepto is in position and has been for some time now. Plus, we now have a Gravedigger that's also able to occupy it and a 3-to-1 panic point advantage. Heartbreaker plus Gargles. Yeah, that can do it. And a little noxious action. At this stage, it's going to be tough for DT to push out of this, even though they have 8 keys, because there's a ton of things that you have to deal with. Even though the Blondie is powered down, it's still doing a fair amount of damage. In fact, at 350, that's how much Hevo 1.0 does at this level. This Glob is fine. Can Glob even attack an obstacle? Nope. Glob can't attack, it can't heart push, can't do any of that fun stuff. Ooh, I like this. This is a good response, given what we're seeing. We're going to get a conga line here, probably. The Glob actually gets the Om Nom Nom. Oh no, not like this. DT still has 6 keys available and plenty of slots, so a Gravedigger can pop down here. But that means that the Brony is going to have to move and then move back in, making things really weird. What could happen is the Brony can go here, you can block, or break the block, swing the Brony back in, and then power all of these off, including the Morty. We'll see what ends up happening. Again, the Klepto is in position, will not be able to get power down, 54 to 62. Of course, the life advantage is in favor of Gakuen right now. Alright, so we get a Muffin to start. Obviously want to help out our globby friend. Alright, this Gravedigger break also works. Getting the power down on basically the whole team. Unfortunately, still hits the Oopsie Baby here. 5 keys remaining for Gakuen, 7 for DT. But like I said, the advantage is in our orange player's favor. Or our blue player's favor, rather, because of the Klepto and the existing advantage of the heart damage. Because that Brony is going to wear off eventually, and this is a lot of damage. This is an enormous amount of damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phobies. For our orange player, 7 keys. It's a good amount of HP to chew through as well. I do like the Glob Brony synergy. I think that's pretty cool. Get a little bit of power down here on the Hydra. But I'm just not sure how DT actually kills the things down here. It looks like the answer is I'm not, so I'm going to go for it. I love the body block here with the Brony to keep the Blondie out, even though it's doing 0 damage, but just like cutting off a way to get through here. Glob passive gets disabled by Brony. Nope. It says it disables all damage, but I don't think this gets disabled. I don't think this gets disabled. It might, though. It might. So the reason why it might is because I'm pretty sure, like, Moffat does not deal damage on the Yoink. Lob is disabled by Brony? Okay. We have confirmation. A little heavy metal action here. It does make sense that it gets disabled. Klepto doing Klepto things at this point. Triple panic point advantage, well, 3-1, 3,400. I'm pretty sure the heart just dies this next, I mean, we know because of the turn, but this is a smart play with the Mr. Tramples to try and push as much damage as you can, but there's just not enough time. I forgot something very important here, which is that you can't use both Glob and Brony. It just never works out. How many times have you tried? It sounds like you've done it several times. Yeah, at this point, there's just too much damage here. Gakuen's going to end up taking it. That's a lot of hard damage. Also, a lot of tombstones. GG. 59 turn game on Hold Still. Our hero here, Master Dark. Give us your best why in game. All right, we'll see what moment that's for. Yeah, I remembered this time, chat. 59 turn game, though. Imagine if Glob had death damage. That's exactly why it doesn't. That's exactly why it doesn't. So our blue player here, our hero, opening up the middle block, which I've seen a few people do. It does allow going second to run snowball through, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So does the other one. I don't know if it really makes much of a difference. I'm trying to think the scenarios where it matters. And I'm not sure until like late in the game where clearly that having different blocks available or not would matter if your opponent invades, but that's also like a weird thing to plan for. I don't know. But yeah, with 59 turns, we're probably just going to... I mean, we let most of them run at this stage, unless there's something really weird. But we're definitely going to let this one run. Possibly skip some turns if it's just obviously stalemating. We get the usual... the attractor, because why not? Definitely valuable on this map. It's valuable just about everywhere. I have been smoothing my hatred out for attractor. I don't detest it nearly as much as I once did. But I think that's more... how do I phrase this? I think it's less that I despise attractor less. It's a weird sentence to say. But it's less about how much I despise attractor at this stage, and more that I've kind of just resigned myself into acceptance for what attractor is and how it impacts the game. Quite clearly, at this point, we're not... I mean, anything's possible, right? But I don't picture we're going to get reworks from the devs. It just does not seem to be a thing that they are willing or want to do. And it also, to a large degree, doesn't make sense. It's probably more valuable and more logical for them to simply create new phobies rather than try and... Like, there are a lot of reasons, both balance reasons, game design reasons, as well as business fiscal reasons to not waste time fixing old phobies. Which leads into, like, the earlier discussion about fish tank buffs, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. So we get a little icy action, a little ice cream. It's that time of year, chat. It's summer. It's getting warm. Everybody go for a little ice cream or some Italian ices. What do you think, chat? Ice cream or ices? Which do you prefer? I know which camp I'm in. And always have been. And don't get me wrong, I'm fine with either, although I like basically one flavor of ice cream. We got maxed out phobies here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maxed out phobies here. What's an Italian ice? Like shaved ice. Flavored shaved ice. By me, they're always Italian ices. They're always called that. I don't know what they're called in other parts of the world. Pizza ice cream? Not quite. Not quite. Ice cream is now my first smiley counter of all time. You have mechanicals, don't you? Like, any mechanical counter is smiley. Like, Hevo is a smiley counter, technically. Cotton candy shaved ice? I mean, that is a flavor. I don't know if you're saying that's your favorite or what. Repeller. Somebody was talking about Repeller in the main Discord. And they're like, oh, well, Repeller's the obvious thing you do on this map. And I didn't reply, and I'm not, like, I don't want to beat up on this person. That's not what I mean by this. It was just funny because this is the first Repeller I think I've seen in, like, 6 months. Maybe we saw one other, but Repeller, I see more bronies, because I was going to say Repeller is like a unicorn, but I've seen significantly more bronies than Repellers. I've never seen any Repeller in this map, too. I haven't seen Repeller anywhere, not just this map, like, at all. I forget, I feel like we had this discussion on stream about Repeller. Somebody was defending Repeller, and it's like, alright, fine. Repeller's fine, I guess, but, like... So one thing I'll call out here, coming back more specifically to the game, is that this invasion could seem erroneous because, oh, well, they'll just yoink it. But you get the counter yoink with a tractor, and it's just going to end poorly for Bad Guy. Bad Guy's in a really weird spot here. They are maxed out on phobies. They don't have a cheap key to send in. I mean, both players are maxed out, but... Our hero has a panic point advantage, so all of the advantages are in their court. Repeller can be good on some maps, but I don't use it here. Prefer to go Rambolina. Rambolina has definitely made a resurgence, and I do want to try it more on this map. I think it was from one of our viewer games where we saw somebody just brutalize someone with Rambolina and other boops. I mean, we saw that in a couple of games, but I think it was happening on this map as well. Maybe it was pre-Fright Night? I don't remember. But I'll be honest, I've never been loaded into a map and said, you know what I need here? Or even in the middle of playing a map, you know what I need here? Repeller. And that's not to say that it's impossible, but I don't think I've ever said, yeah, I want a Repeller. So you got a little poison going down here onto, or from the creep. Pays with its life. This could be a dead Daisy, hypothetically. Ugh. Actually, not even hypothetically. This is probably going to be fairly trivial, right? Maybe? I don't know if this ends the way you want it to, Bad Guy. I know there was the temptation to kill that Daisy. I don't know that it was explicitly bait. But, like... I don't think that's the result you wanted to go for there. Because this repeller should be safe. And if it's safe, that's all that really matters, is now you're up 1-0 with yoinks. You will pay with the Klepto. Does the repeller die? Okay, they could have multi-booped here. Just to get the extra splash, but that wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have been enough damage. Now, in this... It was an obvious bait, yeah. Now, in this particular case, I mean, bad guy does have the opportunity to kind of bully our hero. That Klepto's nearly dead. The attractor's down. There's not a whole lot to represent a threat here. But you just get the freeze, and you've effectively eliminated one of their threats right now. This looks like it's just a dead Jin Sting. And if that Klepto doesn't die to the poison, which presumably it's not here, then you're still in great shape. Boo Fairy, what? Why? I guess this was the turn that Master Dark was saying there was going to be a why. Who poisoned Klepto? Creep, like, back in the 14th century. Yeah, my first guess for this Boo Fairy is just taunting. This is also pretty cool. As a potential thumbnail. This is pretty cool looking. This is the way the pterodactyl looks. But yeah, I don't really get the Boo Fairy here. Granted, it is a huge amount of damage, so maybe we're just trying to murder this Klepto. But you should be able to get it anyway. I don't know, bad guy's in trouble. 0 keys to 0 keys, so both players have to do it with what they have on board, and panic point advantage is in favor of bad guy. However... Yep. 0 damage. Speaking of why, Taro ice... What? Taro ice cream? What does that mean? What is that? Am I going to be afraid to Google this? Bad guy getting aggressive. We'll talk about ice cream in a minute. Is that yoink really necessary? I guess it was, so that you can get this connection. The attack animation on ice cream is kind of cool. Klepto... It's almost going in there with impunity, right? 800? Nope. That'll be a dead Klepto, but that means something's got to stay. Now, Pterodactyl will be back online soon. And so should the freeze, right? Not this turn, but the follow-up turn. So the repeller should be safe. Taro here is usually a drink flavor. I'm not familiar with this. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's coffee flavored ice cream. I've heard of that before. So like having like specific drink flavored ice cream is not exactly rare, right? This attractor is vulnerable, isn't it? So the Temptress could have traded for the attractor, but I don't know that it would have even traded, right? 6. Actually, it didn't have enough damage. It didn't have enough damage. Wow, that sucks. That sucks. Because I have to imagine that Temptress came out explicitly to try and handle the attractor, and it can't even remotely do its job. Like, that is... Ugh. If I had to pick a single phobie that I think that I wanted to be buffed the most, I think it's Temptress. Just because I think Temptress is cool. This is why you give Temptress some love before throwing it out. The thing is, I legitimately don't think we're going to get... I mentioned this in the Temptress thread, because somebody created a thread in the Discord about buffing Temptress. There is a concern with things like, well, if Temptress is good, does it just overshadow Jin Sting? To me, the biggest issue with Temptress is it's made of paper. I think Temptress needs an HP buff. It probably needs a damage buff as well, but I'd rather have, for example, if it's going to get a damage buff, give it more electrical damage so it defines it more into its role, rather than just a general damage buff. That could be problematic because the risk here is not just, hey, Temptress pushes out Jin Sting, which is a risk. The risk is also, hey, Temptress also can end up... Wait, really? Just for the double hit? I mean, I guess that's fine. The issue is if you buff Temptress, does Temptress negatively impact the ability to play mechanicals early in the game? Like, you already have Thunder Rocks, but a ranged mobile anti-mechanical Phobie could be very dangerous. You know, like, there are poison for undead, but it's not quite the same. Obviously, we don't have an early... Like, the earliest game disease is Smiley, and that costs one more than Temptress. But we don't have, like, an anti-monster, and realistically, Dimensional is irrelevant, their weakness to poison, because guess what? You'll just Muffin. The existence of Muffin almost completely invalidates poison phobies for the most part. At least if you're looking for getting a lot of value out of the poison. So, point is that we don't have something that's explicitly anti-monster, explicitly anti-dimensional, explicitly anti-undead this early in the game. Arguably, dimensional... or undead with poison is the closest we get. But this would be another level. Bad guy just getting bullied into the corner here. Bad guy getting stuffed in their locker. It will take down the Boo Fairy, who has done way more than just about any other Boo Fairy we've seen. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. They tried so hard, and they've come so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I appreciate the freeze. It does actually matter. The damage might have been here anyway to just kill it and then walk the Jin Sting up, but for anybody unaware, yep, Frozen Resurrect Phobies do not come back. GG, Master Dark, well done. We got a little happy chappy action going in with timing plus positioning equals pressure. So we're looking at Phobos, everybody's favorite map to hate. Phobos is not winning any popularity contests anytime soon, I can tell you that much. Definitely not a thing. Not a thing. Now, we do get something interesting here from Happy Chappy with the Boom Opener. That is absolutely abnormal. Now, the phobie levels, I didn't catch stress levels going in, but this looks like we're probably talking about pre-Snowball. Likely pre-Snowball. Do people actually still hate Phobos? So, similar to what I was saying earlier about Attractor, I think most people still dislike it. But hatred might be a strong word for it. Because at this point, I think most people have just kind of accepted that this is how the map functions or whatever. And they just don't like it. As opposed to being, like, absolutely vehemently against it sort of thing. Because when it came up in the course of Fright Night and stuff, I still had tons of people saying, oh yeah, I don't like that map. So we did get a takedown on Boom. I don't know why the boom was what it was, because if this was literally any other one key, this play doesn't happen. Now, bad guy just marches all the way up and exposes themselves to the stem. Our hero appropriately takes the stem. Yes, bad guy could get on here and things could happen, but they've forced bad guy to interact with the existing phobies, then take the stem, then do something. Cat goes down. Presumably, the cassowary will follow suit briefly. Yep, it does in fact here. And just like that, bad guy is stabilizing. 3-2 panic point advantage even. Now, this Jin Sting means that there are going to be an enormous bees coming out. Big old bees here. But not quite enough damage on bad guy's side in order to result in a dead Jin Sting. Probably enough to kill this, though. This plus this will kill this, but then you counter kill the Stairmaster. And our hero is going to follow up with sheep. Now, the extra 1 keys available here for our hero means that they're going to be able to stabilize this board, maybe push aggressively, given the positioning. Oh, this is a dead Jin Sting. All right. Never mind. I miscounted. Incorrectly estimated, I guess would be the better way to put it. And that means that this Stairmaster has to retreat. Get your free shot. You can't hang it. Really? I guess if you're going to zone with the sheep. Like, does this... Sheep goes like here? I feel like you just lose the Stairmaster for freezies. I guess you can't without Snowball. There's only 1100 health, though. This, and Jar should kill it, right? And they just walk away for free kind of thing? Granted, this is a 4-to-1 panic point advantage, and this is going to be a lot of pressure, especially if you were to burn the pole, but this body block is actually very good. Not just collecting the panic point here, but that means that also you can't get the free yoink to just snipe the Stairmaster here. We're going to do it anyway, though. That does mean a dead Stairmaster, but you're going to get the connection here from the sheep, hence the preemptive muffin. Sheep, of course, is going to go for it. You can't pass up those opportunities. It's not quite enough to kill either, so the muffin will be able to stabilize. Halfway, anyway. And then suddenly a 5-0 panic point advantage, and bad guy is under an enormous amount of pressure. 6975 on the heart, but that's not going to last very long. Not with this level of panic points. 1125 damage, and there's still a panic point to be claimed if our hero has a way to take it. Alright, the heal goes down onto Stairmaster. Now, notably, neither player elected to break these obstacles, which is interesting because that is a common opener on this map in order to gain access to help defend the heart as well as claim panic points. And all of a sudden, our hero's forces have mostly been wiped out. But like I said, a 5-0 panic point advantage, that's just an enormous amount of damage. And the Jin Sting here is safe for a little while unless bad guy gets hyper-aggressive. I presume the K9's going to go try and back-cap panic point down here. And we get a little booper going. Get a little honorary good boy in Finnegan here. A Jar in a safe position. Complete repositioning to ensure that... Oh, there is a snowball. Really? Honestly, a more aggressive positioning of this K9 might not have been bad. But bad guy's only able to just briefly stem the bleeding here by capping this point and then handing it right back. This is one of those games where you can kind of see the writing on the wall several turns in advance, despite having board control, we'll call it, having a dominating board position. Bad guy is coughing it all up simply because, hey, there just isn't enough time to reclaim all this stuff. At least not at the moment. Panic point advantage is going to go briefly in favor of bad guy. Ooh, the Hevo 2.0. But leaving the Blinky alive, I don't think there was any way to actually kill it. Down goes Stairmaster. 1,800 health. I'm a little surprised that this Blinky didn't recap this point. But the Finnegan gets a little boop action here, evening up the panic point situation. 0 keys to 0 keys. The players have to do it with what they have remaining. All right, Blinky looks not long for this world. Clinico onto Snowball. You don't see that every day. Takedown on the spider. That's pretty crucial. And bad guy just might not have enough bodies. While this Hevo is very threatening, the boop is down and there's stuff in range of the heart. And look at that heart damage. Look at that heart damage. You can kill all the Phobies you want, but it's not going to be all of them, and if you're killing Phobies, that means you're not reclaiming points. GG. Very well played, Happy Chappy. Playing the map rather than the opponent, or I guess you're playing the opponent by playing the map. But Phobos is one of those maps that you absolutely have to respect how quickly things can devolve, how quickly things can spiral. And we saw it there. Bad guy had, like... There were, like, 2 turns where they needed to be a little more aggressive in pushing the points, either to try and force our hero away so they could then claim them on a later turn, or just claiming them outright so that you weren't taking such an enormous amount of damage. Buy yourself 1 or 2 more turns, because by the end, it felt very desperate. It's like, all right, I got to cough up a bunch of Phobies just to live. GG. A little confusion about the dates, since our hero Renamon here had multiple games favorited against this particular opponent, but I think we got the right one. Hopefully we did. Renamon, you'll have to let us know. Thinking emoji. That's all we got as far as notes. We'll have to see what happens here. It is this one. All right, cool. I'm not hating Phobos. Maybe some people who still new in this map hate it. I still hate Phobos. Like, I don't like the play pattern of Phobos. What the... Really? Really? I mean, if you got it, you take it, I guess. Immediate early lock-off. Bad guy answers the Gravedigger. Alright, this won't last forever, but it does buy some time. And definitely is disruptive. It forces bad guy's hand in a particular way. Is this a dead Snowball? Not quite a dead Snowball, but it also, once again, forces bad guy's hand in a particular way. Getting the follow-up Unbearable, this seems likely to be within the context of the, Undead event, given the Unbearable. Daisy coming down? It's interesting the bad guy elected to break this block rather than the terraformed statue, which makes sense. You can break this one, and it does open things up. Now, this is bold. I could get behind this because it means, look, I've gotten my value out of the Gravedigger. Do I really need it anymore? there's an argument that you want to hold on to it because they have theirs, so now you're giving up your ability to interact with the board in a way that they still have. But being this aggressive, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Now, the drawback here, of course, is that 3-to-1 panic point advantage now going away, merely reduced to a 2-to-1. However, the follow-up Baby Snaky and Unbearable can bully this. I'm a little surprised the Unbearable didn't move up. Like, you might have been able to push the Gravedigger back, but given the follow-up here, this is probably the better play, not being overly aggressive about it. And we get a Cerberus. Funny story, 1270, yeah, this Cerberus is still going to do a huge amount of damage if it can connect with something, even if it gets Boo Fairied. But in either case, bad guy still needs to find a way to actually get in here and claim these points, because anything that steps on either of these points is likely dead. Cerberus inching its way up, but of course Unbearable, Baby Snaky, and Creep all offer ways to eliminate anything that shows up here. Now, bad guy could have gotten cute and blocked this off, but I imagine that the Cerberus would have made short work of the obstacle, so it would have been all for naught. Little Klepto is follow-up. And finally, Panic Point Advantage goes in favor of bad guys. We're 2/3 of the way through the game. Little Staple Remover action. Down goes Gravedigger. And here comes Cerberus. Notably also body blocking for the Unbearable so that Boo Fairy can't connect here. And Fetch is the follow-up. 1 key remaining to 3. Dead Baby Snaky, but really, an attack out of Boo Fairy instead of the power down. Again, I don't know if the power down really makes too much of a difference, but this might not have been during the event. I don't know. Because bad guy wasn't really hell-bent on undeads after the initial push with them. But by the way, Fetch does represent a lot of damage. 744 compared to Boo Fairy's 726. Fetch is a good boy. Fetch is, in fact, a good boy. Down goes Creep, but funny story, there's a lot of damage represented in these 3 Phobies. Are you going to be able to connect, though? You got 2 1-movers. Alright, so this has got to be a dead Klepto, right? Yep. Klepto's Dunzo. Not quite a dead Daisy, but it's going to be close. And Bachelor is the final Phobie. Daisy lives to die another day, but it ain't gonna last much longer. Bad guy sees the writing on the wall. Honorably just stands their ground. I think it was during the event they probably completed or don't care that much. I mean, that's fair. The Undead Dream Team, as it were. Annihilating bad guy. GG. GG. I don't know if there was much else to add to that one. It just seemed like a fairly standard win other than Undead Tribal, right? Alright, Asgris, I believe that was part of the pronunciation guide the last time, is our hero here in the blue trunks. I'm back with another game review. This time I won thanks, of course, to the advice you and Gakuen gave me. I tried my best to preserve... There's a lot of notes on this. Tried my best to preserve my phobies while picking off my opponents as well as use Ivy's traps more strategically. While I did win, I still want to know what I could have done better. I would also appreciate if you could point out what I did correctly that resulted in my victory so I may know what to do in the future. Thank you again so much for the advice you gave me. Well, my pleasure. And I'm sure, I can't really speak for Gakuen, but I'm sure they are more than happy, and everyone in chat is more than happy to volunteer advice. In this particular case, so when we zoned in, I want to say you were roughly stress level 30, like 33. So that does drive what's available to you. Typically on this map, there's a few different things that show up commonly. Gravedigger, so that you can break the obstacles by your heart or otherwise. That way you have more open area because there's obviously a lot of choke points on this map. And then turrets. Turrets meaning stabby, bowmangles, unicorn, inoculus, that sort of thing. So that way you have a ranged option to, once you get control of the board, you maintain it and bully your opponent via range stuff. A lot of people, namely Karstocles, are not a fan of this map for the reason that you can commonly stalemate it very early and then build up to something big. So in this case, your opponent went for the erratic. You could build up to other big things, like if you have Boss, if you have Evo 3.0 Chuck, or even if it's just Barzilla, something like that. You can lock up the board, gum it up so that your opponent can't really do much, and then all of a sudden, kablamo, you drop something big. I just want to see how this Poison Ivy ends up. So it looks like it's going to live. Now, I do want to point out, good heads-up plays here. This, I presume, was an intentional bait, getting this set up. Like, assuming that your opponent was just going to charge the erratic in, and yep, you caught him. And this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. I mean, this erratic may just die here right now, but even if it didn't, this is going to represent a good amount of damage on it that will put it into range. So setting up this bait was a great idea. Now, you're maxed out on Phobies right now, and I don't know if this is something that you were thinking of, but one play that Gakuen commonly makes is when you're maxed out, if you have the boom on board, always be aware of the fact that you can detonate this regardless of whether it's going to do damage. So you can just blow it up on your side of the board, free up a slot. So right now you only have 3 keys. If you sit for a little while, you'll bank up. You could even do it now, depending on what you have available to you. Point is to just be aware that you could sacrifice it at any point in time. Now, in this case, your opponent's probably going to offer up eliminating the cat, so that's fine. They have 4 keys, but given their current position, they don't really have any way to threaten you. They already have their 3 rangers on the board. The only thing they could have put on the board, like say they put inoculus, but that's going to take time to get into position. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Clinico, but I don't know if you have Muffin. The reason I don't like the Clinico is I don't know how much value you're going to get out of this over the long haul. This is 100% not worth it. There's no reason to detonate. Oh, well, never mind. You needed to free up the spot. Okay, this goes back to, and I'm assuming you were already ahead of me with blowing up the boom, given this play. Blow up the boom. You got some value out of it. I thought you were just doing it for damage, and then I saw this stabby slide out. So well done here. Just get the free kill. Your opponent has 6 keys. You have 6, but you're in a pretty solid board position. This should be on cooldown, right? Yep. Once the erratic went down, to be perfectly honest, I think this game was over. It is not unlosable from the position you are in, but I'm pretty sure it was verging on impossible to lose from the position you were in. Even though you're down panic points here, eventually your cooldowns will come back. You're not under an enormous amount of pressure because it's only a 2-to-1 panic point advantage, which is something that I think many people panic about on small maps. So this was probably a worthwhile trade. Bad guy still has 4 keys. So yeah, you have to take the kill here. You have a yoink? Oh my god, bad guy. Not like this. Oh my god. I'll be honest, I say this in some games, not every viewer game, but there are games where it just feels like, yeah, bad guy just messed up. And they made either a ton of mistakes or egregious enough ones that I don't want to say your plays didn't matter, but it's important to recognize when you won a game versus your opponent lost a game. So in this case, I think you played well. I think you positioned the traps well. I think you saw the resurrect elimination plays and some of the other ones, you know, capitalize where you were able to take kills. But Bad Guy absolutely walked their team into things that they didn't need to. The erratic one, I could say, hey, they technically didn't know the trap was there. Maybe they thought you were just going to put it on the panic point or something. Everything else, though, it felt like it was either just a straight-up mistake or despair. Like, Bad Guy just gave it up. I also don't like their jackalopes. But at this point, it realistically makes no difference. You were ahead and just never gave up being ahead. Like, I don't think there was any way for you to lose the advantage unless you just punted it into the stratosphere, to be honest. I mean, look at this. Like, there's just nothing they could do. And like I said earlier, I think from the erratic turn onward, they lost so much tempo and were incapable of retaliating in a meaningful manner post-erratic yoink and kill that the game was just over. There was just no hope for them at that stage. So, well played. GG. Sometimes games be like that, chat. Sometimes you just step on their neck. Hordzz is back. Step right up action. Opponent gets caught lacking / stuck in the mud. Sounds like there's going to be a little bit of Code Brown on the floor, if you will. A little Code Brown action. So our hero has the more standard opener. The Gravedigger opener has become very common on many maps. This one is no exception, but Bad Guy elects to go with an early snowball to try and jump out to an early lead. And it is a 2-0 panic point advantage, but this is going to change very quickly. The only real question here is which Phobie is going to claim which point. So electing to stay at a panic point deficit, I get it, because otherwise you risk the Gravedigger getting poisoned or fireballed or both. And the follow-up is Jin Sting. What's the 4 key out of our hero here? And here we see the Gravedigger advancing because we're just, you know, the poison's not a threat at this stage. So big shocker, we get the Innocuous. Being able to break the obstacles, and I can see the emphasis for preserving the Gravedigger. This allows you to open up a whole lot of sight lines or create sight lines later on or block off sight lines for your opponent whenever you need to. Ooh, we get the aggressive Gravedigger to get the block, locking in the Jin Sting. Not entirely, but this is going to make Jin Sting's life incredibly difficult. Really? Now that's a bold move, Cotton. Okay, I get it. I get it. That's actually really funny. Just locking in the Jin Sting. Poison's down this turn. Fireball is up. We're just pinning the Jin Sting in. The only way they can get out of this is they can pop their own Gravedigger. Yup, they break this, move 1, and then move 2. Which is a hilarious way to force them into something. Oh, they're just going to back up. Fair enough. So Bad Guy's now at 5 Phobies. Our hero is also at 5 Phobies, but it's amusing to lock them in this way. And then, on top of it, we're going to get the aggressive push here to kill the Jin Sting anyway. Bad Guy. Ouch. Owie, my Jin Sting. Ouchies. That's actually a really cute play. Like, that whole sequence was really cute. I liked it. Owie zowie. Oh no, the corn lives. No popcorn? No popcorn? 9 health? Oh, that's a feels bad moment. Feels bad, man. I mean, the corn's gonna die now. What did I just hear? I try and get a few of those in every stream, Honda. We got Phobies going down left and right. 7, 10, 12. 12 to 6. Seems alright. Seems alright. And, of course, a significant board advantage as a result. 8 keys to 6 also. Everything's coming up hero here. And by the way, there's some traps somewhere down here, presumably. Well, maybe not. Maybe the unicorn didn't have time. The bad guy is just hemorrhaging Phobies left and right. This is kind of like the other game we're observing, where it's just, okay, yeah. I just slapped the crap out of the bad guy and it's irrelevant. It means nothing. They're just getting pooped on. Even get the body block from the cat here to ensure that the stabby can't retaliate in a meaningful capacity. Final phobia out of bad guy is sheep. That is their Hail Mary. I think those prayers are going to go unanswered. I'm not going to lie. Down goes Stabby, soon to be Jar. Still 3 keys left. Those get invested in a Murder Wing. This Cyclops could get sheeped, but I don't think it matters, realistically. Like, that's going to get blown up, and then everything's going to come in and kill the Jar. You might not have enough damage, but these two should be able to kill this. Okay, the Jar is going to hide in the corner, but the Jar is going to get trapped like its Gravedigger friend earlier. Are dog fleas the same size as cat and human fleas? I would imagine yes. I mean, I know ticks, you know, like a tick that's on a dog will bite a person, so I assume fleas are the same way. Pop goes the jar cannon. Got him. GG, Hordes. GG. If there was a trap, we would see it. True. That was changed. DT coming at you here on Biff's Room. Also sporting the Hydra avatar. DT usually pretty good about rotating them. We're getting something new coming in. To quote Karstocles, the bigger dog won. Has Karsticles really said that a lot? And I know I said their name wrong. It's just funny, like, when I saw their name, Karst this is. It's funny because, you know, you see an internet name, you're obviously reading it and not hearing it. So how it's pronounced could escape you. But when you see something like that, there's only 2 ways that it's going to be. It's either going to be Karstocles or it's going to be Karsticles. And I'll leave it up to the listener's imagination as to why one would choose one name or the other. Turns out it's actually Karstocles, not Karsticles. Personally, I think the latter is funnier. Like I said, leave it up to the listener's imagination. But anyway, as to the actual game, our hero here maxing out with 5 phobies pretty quickly, 3 of which are 1 keys, and then following up with the Inoculus, whereas bad guy banked up for this attractor. Pretty scary here. Pretty scary on a small map. But we do have a very tanky numbskull, which I have to wonder, was DT... Did DT know going in that, like, this sort of thing would happen? Because we get this basically double body block here. The The cat is able to put a big hurt onto Bo Mangles here. And there is a takedown, but this does allow, potentially, for a whole bunch of damage to go down onto bad guy's team. Cat will probably trade out for cat, or just remove the cat, rather. What? Did anybody else see that? Did that look like an electrical attack there? Am I just imagining things, or did that attack animation look like an electrical attack animation? The first unicorn attack. I could be imagining things, chat. I just wanted to try using Numbskull instead of Sucky. That's fair. We did see Numbskull show up in Fright Night from a Markand, I think, a couple times. And maybe Hakune as well. Although Hakune, I think, did it later in the game. I'm not a huge fan of Numbskull just because of the one move. But it is tanky enough that it's soaked up a lot of potential damage here. Down goes Bo. By the way, the pull is down. Oh, baby. Sometimes Phobie attacks glitch. It happens a lot with Hard taking panic point damage after a Phobie hits it. That's fair. Yeah, there's, we have seen a number of visual glitches like that, which is fine. Honestly, it feels more like an Easter egg to me than a bug. I know that's not really correct, but that's what it feels like. So I got pretty excited because, in fact, we are seeing a Cerberus hit the board in this game. Good boy going down. Yeah, a little Cerberus action. This is kind of like... So there have been a lot of discussions lately in the main Discord about, is Cerberus broken? And I'll be honest, I don't think Cerberus is all that great. However, in this particular board state, bad guy has to just go, yeah, I pass turn. Because they need a bigger answer. Given what they have on the board, it is possible to chip down Cerberus. Maybe they're going to go for a jar, or a sheep here. But there isn't exactly an enormous distance between this Cerberus and pay dirt at this point. What? What? This is where I wish I had the sound effects from the Phobies team to use as, like, stream effects. Because I could do the Cerberus effect, but honestly, I would just be spamming the werewolf howl right now. Like, every time we see a good boy, I want to be able to have, like, a channel point redemption for the werewolf howl or something. But chat, we are getting Cerberus as an answer to Cerberus. You heard it here first. Get a soundboard? Well, I need the sound effects first. Like, I can build the soundboard, but I just don't have the actual effect. I mean, you know what I could do? I could record myself howling like a dog. It's not like I don't have enough idiot sound effects of myself, right? Like, I have enough lunatic things that I've said or shrieked that are recorded anyway, so what's one more? But anyway, it's a level 14 Cerberus versus a level 10. Yes, I did, Atona. We can talk about that while we finish this game. I don't know that Cerberus is really the answer. Like, even if we assume that it was an on-level Cerberus, is that really what you want? Spam the air horn? No, we're not going to get an air horn. We're not doing that sound effect. Honestly, I don't mind the air horn as a noise effect. I think it's, like, there are times where I think it's funny. What I think will happen is if I had it as a redeemable effect, like, if it was my soundboard, I could control it. But if it was chat redeeming it, I think people would just spam it all the time. Like, let's be real. Come on, chat. Even if I made it like 15,000 channel points, we would have air horns nonstop. What did people do with Russell? Slow reverb, bass boosted fart sound effect. I'm confident that's on an existing soundboard. I could just get a voice changer and do funny stuff. All right, so bad guys' follow-up is to just hemorrhage Phobies. Like, just throw them right into the wood chipper. I don't think that's going to work out the way you think it's going to. Hey, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Down goes the potato. Bad guy walks jar into range of jar? That seems incorrect. I don't think it's really going to matter, but like... That's exactly what... See, like, that wouldn't bother me, Rock Swan. It would be funny. Down goes Cerberus, and down goes bad guy's hopes. Just like, it's a dog-eat-dog world, chat. Got him. I'm very happy with myself for that one. Not even gonna lie. Like, I'm not even... I'm very pleased with that one. And if you don't think it's funny, I don't care. I can't believe, like, I don't know. I don't really understand the Cerberus response to Cerberus in general. I guess it, like, I could see a world in which it works. Especially if you have a tractor. But you were already bullied. Like, DT was just bullying bad guy, right? So they get backed up, which means that your Cerberus and your attractor aren't really lined up as far as trying to, you know, you can't pull their team into your Cerberus to get multiple hits because the positioning just doesn't work. You could have rearranged things, but that wasn't how it worked out. Then bad guy was hemorrhaging Phobies because they didn't want to allow the 3-0 panic point advantage. I get it. But I'm coming back to the Cerberus being 4 levels under when you don't have the ability to really get the attractor to connect. It just doesn't, I don't know. Well played, DT. Well played. I can't believe it. Like, that was a legitimate Cerberus play. All right, so we're getting a repeat. If you haven't watched the Fright Night 7 semis and finals, first of all, spoilers are about to happen. Second of all, go watch that other video, please. Seriously. And let me know about Fright Night. Next one coming up is likely to be Tiny Terrors. Hit up the Discord for more information and for news about it first. But the notes here for Big She versus A. Markand is this match deserves a check, was amazing. Now, I watched it live, so I already know. I already know the result. I already know what's happening. We'll see. That's fair, Rock Swan. That's fair. Player 2 gets an extra mulligan now because of something statistics. Interesting. Wow, that's a lot of changes. We're going to have to check that out. I also need to change. Redfall is absolutely not the last game I played offline. It's been Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. Yeah, that's the thing, Antonio. Like, there's a lot to determine. So, with this game, like I said, already know the outcome, already know what the exciting parts are, so I'm going to try and, like, emphasize them for anybody who watched this live. You know what's coming, too. We do have Snowball opener versus a Gravedigger opener. Personally, I lean towards the Gravedigger opener. But A. Markand here has chosen instead. Our hero here, by the way, is Big She in the blue trunks. Just throwing that out there. Redfall is that vampire game, right? I heard it's bad. There's a lot of bugs. The game is fine. It's like serious Borderlands. It's like a looter-shooter sort of thing. Well, maybe not that. I don't know. It's a story-based game and you collect loot. So to me, like, a lot of those get lumped in the same category because the same play pattern. But there's a ton of bugs. Game crashes. It runs the gamut. But I think the game is fine, but that's also because I didn't buy it. I got it on Game Pass. If I bought it, I would be pissed. Like, I could not recommend buying it. It's probably like a $20, $30 game at most right now. Do not buy it at like $70. So we get the early Firkin from Big She, pretty much a constant in all their games. Like I said, if you watch the full Fright Night breakdown, you'll know. The late-ish, later Crushmore shows up. as opposed to the early Gravedigger. If you were thinking that A. Markin was going to completely skip a Terraform ability, you would be incorrect. You would be mistaken, in fact. Get the break so that way we can inch the Firkin up. Firkin v. Firkin here. Multiple targets on both sides, although admittedly not spectacular ones, until this Noxious shows up. Now, Big She on small maps is, at this point, probably well known for Firkin into Mildred. That's not likely on a big map for a variety of reasons. Yes, I actually am in the alpha for that, Atona. I might stream Speed Freaks. I gotta play it offline first. Why'd I do the game stream today? Because I'm gonna miss some streams this weekend, Anna. I was talking about it earlier. I can explain after the game. So, we're getting the big standoff here. We've talked about in a lot of high skill level, high competitive games where it's common to see at low levels people will just throw phobies at each other. They'll either be burning them to take over this point, reducing their own key count and their opponents in the process. Instead here, we have 2 1 keys, another 1 key. Nobody's taking it. Instead, get a little Heartbreaker action. Heartbreaker showing up for A. Markin. Obviously, the Firkin's already on the board. And here's the other exciting part. Not the only remaining excitement for this game, but we do have a Russell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Orange player and blue player are both maxed out.
Russell!
The Russell action. Yep. If you watched either live or the video, you may have heard that sound effect. This is how I know I can't have an air horn sound effect, chat. Maybe if I have an air horn sound effect, it should just be me making the air horn noise as loud as I can. Like, that would probably be funny, right? So we do get the Caw. And like I said, maxed out, and there are multiple dimensionals. Crushmore, Firkin, as well as Heartbreaker. Now, Big She makes a good play here. Why don't they just kill the cat? Well, you want the poison to tick. Since A. Markin is maxed out, this means that they can't pop a healer onto the board. It could be a Muffin, it could be a Clinico, it could be a Blueling, it could be whatever. But guess what? None of those can show up if you're maxed out on Phobies. It does leave the cat on board for some additional damage, but you get the body block here from the Spider. Unfortunately, you give up the Noxious in this process, and you did not kill the Crushmore. And this means it's a 4-to-1 panic point advantage for the orange player. So unfortunately, there wasn't a great opportunity here to get, like, a Savage Russell hit. Now, you didn't get a great AoE out of it, but you're going to get a takedown here onto this Crushmore. Spider has to help finish it off, just because you need the spare damage. And now it's just a matter of trying to dodge this Russell, because it is live, and there hasn't been a Firkin hit to connect with it. But our orange player, of course, is going to need to find a way to cure some of this poison, and in short order. How do you do that? Surprise, everybody! It's Leshy. And here's the thing. I said this live. This Leshy actually is in a position to put in an enormous amount of work. Not only are you removing the poison, but you're getting a solid heal on all these phobies that are going to be eating a bunch of damage, and you're going to do it with a single cooldown. Oh, by the way, Leshy also represents a decent chunk of damage, and it's dimensional. This was such a cool heads-up play from both players. Big She saw the opportunity to possibly Russell their opponent to death. They have the Firkin preemptively to try and dodge some of these abilities. You can see the chess game that is playing out even as the game starts. Like, a lot of these lines had to have been in the players' heads. I want to go in this general direction before the game even started, and then they had these branching decisions and selected these cool plays from all of the available options. Now, ultimately, the Leshy's going to get this heal here as we're building up the, one side is building up their battle line. And And we get the quick yoink here on the Gravedigger. That may seem frivolous. It may seem frivolous, but definitely valuable. Could they have firkened the Leshy? So it would have had to be this turn. The Firkin is on cooldown. Firkin is on cooldown, so they couldn't do it this turn. And that's the only opportunity they would have had. So I think we're here as I skip back in. Really like the Heartbreaker in this game. Boy is not picky and just take what he can. That's the thing. Because of... And this is something that I think is lost on a lot of people. I know chat here knows is great. They don't need this advice. But like, just put it out there for everybody in general. Many people are simultaneously under and over aggressive. They over aggressively sacrifice phobies, thereby burning keys, like the earlier one key discussion, but then are under aggressive and are willing to stalemate things. In this particular game, because both players were respecting each other and were not willing to burn the keys, it allowed the game to progress to a point where you can get 15 keys in 2 phobies, like Leshy and Heartbreaker, and build it up. Because that pressure didn't exist earlier in the game, Big She was not pushing a Markand into a particular position or forcing certain things to happen. That means that a Markand has the life total to burn and allow Heartbreaker to just sit there and be like, all right, well, I'll take a Gravedigger because I'm going to get another activation. I don't have to make this one count to hit maximum keys. I can just kill whatever's there. I love Leshy. And I said it before, but to me, for some reason, Leshy looks like he's a penguin when he walks. I don't know why, but my mind conjures a penguin. So in this case, down goes Hevo. Heartbreaker's up not next turn, but the turn after. And how does Big She retaliate? Well, I know how Big She retaliates, but everybody gets to witness it now. Get a little yoink action here. So I had debated on stream about, there were a bunch of plays that Big She had tried, but unfortunately all of them yielded not quite enough damage. So as a result, you have to sacrifice the snowball in order to ensure that there's enough damage here. That's why that snowball died. Because if anybody's wondering, the other plays where you end up killing it with the spider or something like that just don't result in quite enough damage to get there. So we're down to 0 keys, Muffin being the last phobie. We get the Caw. Obviously, this was coming, hence the Muffin. Now, neither player is really out of it, but this is the big thing. This is the big thing. You get the Heartbreaker going. Heartbreaker... Why didn't Big She move it down first, then Snowball? So this play happened for the Snowball turn. It happened at it was the last attempt. Big She was trying other combinations, and it was towards the end of the turn. So I didn't mean to say that, there wasn't definitely a more optimal play. There may have been a way to keep the Snowball alive, let something else get pulled in. But, it was the very, there wasn't much time left in the turn when it was live. And at this point, I mean, the writing is kind of on the wall here. You do get the yoink to snipe the Heartbreaker here. But at worst, it's 3-2. The Muffin's clearly going to pop something. A Markand is on a clock, because you do have a Dimensional here that's poisoned. Ray Chargels is poisoned. It's only taking 600, so it won't strictly die to the poison. This won't strictly die either, but it will be trivial to do it. Assuming the Muffin doesn't pop onto something, which we know it will. And of course the Hevo is on its... This thing is not long for the world. That was, of course, to prevent the Dimensional pull forward, but it puts Big She in a position where there just isn't enough time to either eliminate everything or claim all the panic points back. Down goes the Firkin. Not even quite enough damage to kill the Ray. Maybe if the Ray died this turn, Big She might have been okay, but likely not. Because you just won't be able to cap enough panic points back, and the Hevo can probably run around and hide. Down goes the Spider. GG. Well played. Very well played by both players. This was a really cool game. Alright, chat. That's going to do it for this particular set of viewer game breakdowns. Like I mentioned, just have an abnormal streaming schedule this weekend, but we'll be back next week with a more regular schedule, barring catastrophe, and of course, more viewer game breakdowns. But that's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.